Norway is a small country on the northern outskirts of Europe with a population of just over 5 million people. It does not land in the international news headlines very often, and yet, I believe that the upcoming election this September matters far beyond our borders. It is yet another litmus test as to the tightness of the grip that Western nations find themselves in by the globalist elites that have impoverished the Western world and who seem to want our whole way of life to come crashing down. Like many others, I believe the US election was rigged. I also believe that the control that big tech exerts over the US and increasingly Europe is frightening. Nobody has elected Mark Zuckerberg or Jack Dorsey to any public office, and yet they saw fit to deplatform a sitting US president, and to crack down far harder on conservative political discourse than child abuse. They see fit to tarnish both people and organizations as far right just for holding patriotic values that our grandparents were willing to lay down their lives for during the war. Indeed, anyone who is not woke is now due for cancellation, a horrid term to begin with. Who elected these people to be arbiters of the common discourse and thus our political landscape? When did bullying tactics become the norm? And when did the rest of us agree that this was acceptable? Have we? This is not just happening in the US anymore. World domination beckons, it seems. Big tech is even silencing us. The Democrat Party, Democratine, in little Norway, a small country on the outskirts of Europe. Even we should seemingly not be allowed to have a fair shot at political participation. Big tech is preventing people from sharing our articles online. The Democrat Party in Norway is in no way affiliated with the US Democrats. We do not believe in plutocracy, globalism or any other form of distinctly undemocratic governance that pushes multi-tiered systems of so-called justice and grotesque inequality whilst preaching morals and inclusion for everything but political opinions. We believe in truly democratic processes, power sharing, fair economic systems, common sense over ideology and gaslighting, transparency of bureaucratic processes, accountability, equal laws for all and, above all, we believe in sovereignty. The principle of self-determination still holds in international law, and we claim it. We do not want to be ruled by the party of Davos, or Mark Zuckerberg, or Bill Gates. If the powers that are nominally in power think otherwise, I dare them to ask the Norwegian people to call a referendum on the matter. While we're on the subject of referendums, let's have one about mass immigration as well. I'm pretty sure nobody has been asked about that either. Maybe I am wrong and most people do want this. Let's ask. Perhaps the next referendum might actually be honored if the media spotlight is on us. Norway had 2 national referendums on the subject of joining the EU. Both times the Norwegian people voted number, and yet we were led into the EU structure through the back door, via the EEA agreement, which makes us follow almost all the legislation, but without having any voting rights in the structure. Oh, and paying vast sums for it, too. Naturally, were the people asked about this? No, we weren't. At least now that Brexit has happened, the time might be opportune to renegotiate the EEA agreement. Britain has shown us it's possible. Their own political class tried to thwart the unequivocal result of their own referendum, but failed. This, too, has shown us it's possible to stand up to the establishment. That is all the parties currently represented in the Norwegian parliament. It is my sincere belief that most people are tired of the professional political class, which is increasingly exporting jobs, gaslighting us with wokkery and seems to have less and less control over our domestic affairs. I won't even mention border control. The Democrat Party in Norway was formed to counteract the increasing distance between politicians and voters. It is my contention that ordinary people, indeed the general opinion, is increasingly being overruled by politicians that seem to be more loyal to international political entities and interests than to their own voters. It is also my contention that this is the case across Western Europe, and that is why Britain should care about the upcoming Norwegian election. It matters. We can't resist. The world economy is not looking too rosy post-COVID, so big tech will probably be tightening their screws, limiting our political discourse and the possibility of dissenting voices to get heard. Norway will be the next canary in the coal mine, and it matters. It matters if you care about democracy. It matters if you care about sovereignty. It matters if you don't believe that unelected billionaires have more of a right to determine the future of a country than its own citizens. We must fight for democracy and sovereignty while we still can.